Flashdance came out in 1983 when I was 9 or 10 years old, and I had no business watching it, but I'm a Gen X, so it is what it is. At that time, I truly believed that that off-shoulder sweatshirt look was the most glamorous thing ever, but I was never allowed to wear it. Now it's like 40 plus years later, and I am finally going to recreate that glamorous look that little Sheri so coveted using nothing but an old sweatshirt and a pair of scissors. And then after we're done doing that, I'm going to show you 6 more absolutely amazing refashions that you can do using only a pair of scissors. I'm a Refashionista, Sheri, and around here, we firmly believe that you need to use what you have to make what you want, and perfection is definitely the enemy of good enough. So let's get making. For this nearly instant Flashdance inspired project, all you need is a slightly oversized sweatshirt and your scissors. Because this is going to be an off-shoulder sweatshirt, I popped it on and decided which shoulder I wanted to show off, and then I popped a pin in the area where I wanted it to hang down my arm or off my shoulder to, and now all I have to do is start at one side of the neckline as close to the actual finished neckline as possible, but you also want to be chopping off the finished seam here, because we want this to be very deconstructed, distressed, and, look like it was chopped off. Then you just want to start there and do a gentle curving chop all the way around until you get to your pin mark. I highly recommend going and trying it on now just to see if you want to cut any more. Mine is absolutely perfect, so let's move on to the final step. You can see now I have my sweatshirt inside out, and that is because I'm now just going to cut off the sleeve cuffs and the bottom hem, and it's inside out, so I can cut them off as close to this finished seam here as possible. And now you have an awesome neckline, sleeve cuffs, and bottom finished hem to use in a future project. So fold these up neatly and pop them in your stash. As I'm sure this will be the first of many times that I mention that cotton jersey fabric does not fray, so you can cut it and you don't have to hem it at all. So you know what? Your fantabulous Flashdance inspired sweatshirt only needs to have the sleeve cuffs rolled up a little bit, and then you can go pop on your coolest bodysuit, throw this over top, and get your Flashdance on. Hey, I'm just popping in to let you know that if you think the after portion of my tutorials moves a little bit too fast, you want to stick around to the end of the video because I have something special coming up just for you. For this fantastically fast, super easy, awesome to layer project, all you need are a pair of tights that you don't mind chopping up and your scissors. So your first step is to just fold the tights evenly in half, and some tights have the definite heel area. Mine do not. So I'm just going to chop off the toe to open up this side. So with the tights still folded in half, you're just going to chop out a half circle here in the gusset or crotch area. These tights don't actually have the little, protection area there, so I can cut off as much or as little as I want, but if yours does have that, just cut out that area. That's the easiest way to do it. You can stretch this out a little bit now, and it does curl back onto itself just like t-shirt jersey, so it's No sewing, no hemming, no nothing. And you've just created a incredibly stretchy shirt that you can layer under just about anything you want to. Now, I think I'm going to take it a step further, and I'm going to add a little thumb hole maybe on my sleeve cuff here just to make it cooler. Or maybe I should do, you know, way back in like the 90s when we were so cool, and sometimes you had like a thumb hole and other times it was like a middle finger hole. Maybe I'll do that. Let's see. But either whatever I do, let's go try it on and style it up. For this super fast project, all you need is your shrunken, mostly wool sweater. I'm not actually sure of the wool content of this, but I think there's a lot of wool in it. So fingers crossed this is going to work. And your scissors. All you have to do is lay your sweater out on a flat surface, and then you can either measure the center or you can simply eyeball it like I'm going to do, and you want to cut straight down the center of the front or straight up from the bottom hem to create the opening for your cardigan. So luckily, it seems I was quite correct about the wool content of this sweater, because you can see it's not fraying at all here, not even a little bit. So you know what? If you want to be done right now and just wear it like this, you absolutely can. So that's it. You just chop it up the front, put it on, and then you can head out and be all cozy if you want. But you can also grab the ends and just tie them in the front, and there you go. You have like a little kind of bolero throw over for an outfit. Or if your sweater sides are long enough and stretchy enough, you can cross them over each other and tie it in the back, and then you have a cool kind of wrap sweater situation going on. Mine are not long enough, clearly, but I want to go a step further with this, and I've never done this before, so we're just going to experiment a little bit. And I was thinking, I got my pin here, I was thinking, what if you just kind of crossed the front over like this a little bit, and let's put a little pin here to mark. Okay, and what if I put like a little button here and just cut a tiny little hole, because remember, it's not going to fray, and then I have like a little closure there, and it's kind of a wrap situation. So let's go try that. So you see I have my little pin here, and instead of cutting, I thought, hey, let's be clever here and just kind of pick out a couple of the threads, and then that should be more than enough to stretch it open a little bit to create our buttonhole. Look at that, perfect. I mean, it's not looking great right now, but guaranteed when the button is through it, just let me grab the button, it's not even going to be noticeable at all. Look, perfect, perfection. Now let's go try it on and style it up. And for this fast and fancy project, all you need is your uncomfortable sweatshirt and your scissors. So I now have my sweatshirt inside out, laid flat on my table, and the first thing I'm going to do is chop out this very uncomfortable neckline, and I'm going to actually be cutting out the seam as well. So I'm going to cut as close to the seam as possible because I want this whole thing gone. Now I'm going to chop off the sleeves, but I'm going to chop off even more than I did with the collar because I want this to have kind of a strappy tank top vest look when it's all said and done. So I think I'm going to go about here and chop the sleeves off. In order to cut off my other sleeve as close to the same size as the first one, I'm using that first chopped sleeve as my template, and I've just lined everything up as evenly as I could get it. And now I'm going to use that as a template and chop off this one. And of course, now we have to get rid of this bottom bulky hem here, and I want mine to be a little bit more cropped, so I'm going to go a few centimeters higher and then chop on through. So now you have the collar off, the sleeves off, and the bottom hem off. Go ahead and try it on and see if you like the fit of it. If not, then chop off the areas that you want to chop off to make it fit better. For me, I want a lower neckline here, so I'm folding the shirt in half sideways, and then I'm just going to line up the shoulder seams here and make everything as even as possible. And once again, jersey fabric doesn't fray, and it's not just t-shirt jersey, it's also a sweatshirt jersey. So again, there's no sewing and no hemming needed unless you really want to. Okay, so now this is all lined up here, and I'm just gonna go chop off some more. And my funky cropped vest top is complete with no sewing whatsoever. So now we can try it on and style it up. For this quick and easy no-sew project, all you need are your scissors and a long sleeve top that is made out of a non-fraying fabric. But what's a non-fraying fabric? Well, that is something like a shrunken sweater that maybe it shrunk in the wash, in the dryer, or it just got shrunk. And that means that the fibers of the sweater have constricted up onto themselves. So when you cut them, they are not going to fray. Also, sweatshirt and t-shirt jersey does not fray because of the wonderful way it is made. And something like this is actually a fleecy athletic wear type of fabric. And this also is not going to fray when it's cut. And that is what makes it a no-sew project. So basically, we are going to be chopping up this top into 3 different items. We're going to do a circle scarf, leg warmers, and a little kind of shrug with the leftover bits. So the first thing you have to decide is how thick or wide you would like your circle scarf to be. And it's kind of dependent on how long your top is. Because this is quite long, I can actually go about here, which is, let's say, 10-ish centimeters below the underarm seam here. And that is where I'm going to make my first cut straight across this shirt. And with that one chop, we have just created a super simple circle scarf. And you can see here that edge is not fraying at all. Next, we're going to make our leg warmers, and to do that, you just want to fold the remaining piece of the shirt in half as evenly as you can get it, with those sleeves lined up as evenly as you can get them, and then just decide how long you want your leg warmers to be, and once again, chop on through. And here are our 2 lovely leg warmers. Again, no fraying at all. If you want to do a little bit of sewing, or I guess a little bit of gluing, if you don't want to do any sewing, you could stitch or glue some embellishment on these if you wanted to, like lace or pom-poms, or sew on some buttons, whatever the heck you want. But there you go, no sew leg warmers. And now we're left with the top part of the shirt, and it's actually now just a short sleeve crop top. So if you want to leave it as is, you can. This one is actually a little bit too cropped for me. It won't really cover my chest, so that's too cropped. So instead, we're going to turn this into a cute little bolero style short sleeve shrug kind of situation. And to do that, all you have to do is cut up the center of the front. That is all. For this super fast no-sew project, all you need is your oversized t-shirt and your scissors. The very first thing you need to do is find the center of your t-shirt, and there's a few different easy ways to do this. The first one is to simply fold the t-shirt in half with all of the seams as evenly lined up as you can get them. With a lot of t-shirts, they're not perfectly even, so don't sweat it if they're not even. Like, look at this here. Then you just grab a pin and mark the center of that bottom hem with your pin, just on the front. You don't need to worry about the back. The second way is to simply lay your shirt out flat and grab a tailor's measure or just a ruler and measure the bottom hem. This is 60 centimeters across. So I'm just going to grab my pin and mark it at 30, which is half of 60, and there's the center of the front of my shirt. And of course, the last way, is to just eyeball it, because at the end of the day, you're just chopping a t-shirt. It's not rocket science here. And then all you have to do is lay your shirt out as evenly and flat as you can get it, and simply chop straight up the front of the shirt only from the bottom hem all the way through the collar. And because t-shirt jersey doesn't fray, all you have to do is stretch the edges, and look at that, it curls back up onto itself, and it looks like you have a lovely finished hem. So now I'm just going to go do this to both of my chopped sides, and then we're going to try it on and style it up. Create an awesome set out of this oversized t-shirt. Pardon the hair situation here, but I am attempting to do some sock bun curls. So we're going to see how that comes out, but here we are looking fabulous. Anyway, so as I said, this is quite a large shirt on me, and we're going to turn it into a two-piece summer set without any sewing at all. It's so simple. So the very first thing I have to do is figure out how short, long I want the top to be, and let's see, if we go about here, and I'm just going to pop a pin right in there, like so. And now let's go back to the table and finish this off. So I have the shirt laid out as flat as I could get it, and I just noticed my pin here is kind of cutting off Eddie's forehead. So I think instead of doing that, I'm going to go right above his head. And now I'm just going to chop on through. Okay, so the top part of my set is pretty much done. I might go ahead and chop off the finished sleeve cuffs here just for a more deconstructed look, but for now it's done. Now let's work on the skirt. And because this is a Stranger Things shirt, I'm not too concerned that this part of the graphic is going to be upside down because, the upside down and all of that. So I think it's actually kind of cool. All right, so here we have the bottom hem of the shirt, which I now have to the top. And this definitely works best with shirts that do not have a side seam, because we are simply going to make two little cuts just in the very front of this bottom hem here. So you need to be separating the fabric from the front and the back and putting two little cuts. So I am going to do that right now. So I have my two holes here, and they are pretty much in the center, and of course they are just through that front layer of fabric. Now, because my design is right here along the bottom, I can't really cut off a strip and make some t-shirt yarn to go through here for my drawstring waistband. But luckily I have some t-shirt yarn in my stash, so I've already popped a pin in the end of this one. And if you don't know how to make t-shirt yarn, just as I said, you just cut off a strip, and then once you have your strip cut, you stretch it, and look, it folds in onto itself like so, and it does not fray, and it's just fantastic. So I'm just going to take this, and I'm going to thread it through the bottom hem here until I come out the other hole. And this is why it's best to use a shirt that does not have side seams, because I can just zip this all the way around without having to worry about unpicking the side seams. So yeah, I'm going to finish that, and then you know what? The skirt is going to be done too. So on the advice of my kiddo, and so I look cool, I'm going to chop off the neckline here so I can also wear this off one shoulder if I want to. So the first thing I've done is just cut a little hole right beside the neckline here, and I'm just going to cut out this finished neckline. So because this shirt was already quite big on me, that's all I have to do to make this wide enough to hang off one of my shoulders. I don't have to cut anymore. If your shirt fits you, then you will have to go ahead and decide which shoulder you want the shirt to be off of, and then just gently chop out a little bit more from that side. And keep in mind, it's always a good idea to try it on every single time you make a cut, because as I always say, you can always cut more, but trying to put fabric back on is a bit of an issue. And there you have it, 7 refashions using nothing but a pair of scissors and what you probably already have lurking at the back of your wardrobe. Let me know down below which one of these is your favorite, which one you're going to try first, and if you want to go even deeper into your closet transformation, I highly recommend joining my wardrobe revolution at refashionistasheri.com. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I'll catch ya on the zigzag. And did you know you can join my channel and get loads of behind the scenes content and videos and shorts and posts and all that good stuff? And you know what? Here's why you should join. For just 99 cents a month, you can help save a struggling Refashionista. For just 99 cents a month, you can help sustain the much-needed work that goes on behind the scenes. Every thrift flip, every DIY, every upcycle, every free tutorial can only continue with your support. Join my Refashionista crew for only 99 cents a month, less than the cost of 2 bananas or a pack of gum, and help me continue teaching anyone who wants to learn how to use what they have to make what they want. Don't let affordable, sustainable DIY style become an endangered species. Join my Refashionista crew today.
This is Confessions of a Refashionista.